And now, from an undisclosed location in Massachusetts, in a coffee shop where nobody goes to because, well, it doesn't exist. Here are your hosts, Peter and Paul. Take it away, good fellas. I mean, fellas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Two Paisans podcast. I'm Peter, and my
I'm
buddy,
Paul.
Paulie. We call him the Pheasanator. That's what we call him because he's got a lot of weapons.
Since when? Since when? All right.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my story since we talked about your family story. My story is about my addiction and how I got out of it and all that other stuff. So,
All right.
for me, it really just started at age about 14. I didn't know I was going to get addicted. It was just hanging out with, kids your age, like 43 years ago. Wow, 43 years ago. My God. So I was 14, and I think mostly it was just bored. It was summer, and we knew obviously some cocaine dealers in the North End. We knew all of them.
Yeah.
And all of us, I think there was 5 of us, we chipped in $5 a piece, and we got like a quarter gram of cocaine, which is one packet. We got like a line each.
Yeah.
But before then, we did smoke pot here and there, which was back then was a big thing. It's not like it is now. So.
It was illegal.
Yeah, I used to love doing things illegally.
Of course.
So that didn't bother me at all.
Most people do. Yep.
That's the fun part, illegally. It's that line. Human beings like to do stuff illegal. It's just a matter of that's who we are, right?
Right.
If you tell a kid don't do something, what do? They do it.
Right.
Right.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of guys that you were with, are they still alive, one, and/or are they still under addiction?
Well, most of them I'm with, I've lost contact with, but from what I understand, most of them are still alive. But a bunch of people back in that day, some of them did pass.
Yeah.
Is it from addiction? I don't know because, like I said, I lost contact once I got out of the North End.
Right.
But it wouldn't surprise me, put it that way. That's just part of the course. That's when you're a drug addict, that's what happens.
Right.
That's when I noticed the North End really deteriorating 10 years after I got addicted. Like when I was in the 20s, you've seen a lot of people that wouldn't do drugs start doing drugs. But I think a lot of us in the North End, we had everything, and we were just bored. It gave us something to do at one point. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're a city kid. You're either going to go around stealing cars, go chase girls down Faneuil Hall, go out drinking, or, do something illegal because you're bored. I think boredom plays a big part in addiction in some way.
Right.
Because we got to replace something with something. It's like you don't break habits, you substitute habits.
So
no such thing as breaking habits.
So what did you substitute? Why do you think your addiction was there? What do you think you were missing?
Well, I can tell you right off the bat I was missing. I was no father, no role model.
Yep.
My role model were kids that were older than me doing the same thing I was just starting to do.
Yep. That is
and there's your cycle. Issue. That's your cycle right there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that is proven that the family structure is so important. If there's no father, technically, no father, that's when it kind of crumbles. Without a mom, I don't know if it really crumbles as bad, but you need that dynamic, unfortunately.
Well, absolutely. That's why you see so many, especially the Black community. There are a lot of fatherless families.
Yep.
And I'm not just specifically saying them, but it's proven that a lot of them, like maybe 60 to 70% of the households, are fatherless.
Yeah.
So
the government
what's going to happen is that if they have 2 kids, they're going to either go into gangs, dealing drugs, and they're going to end up in prison. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
I don't make this stuff up.
The propensity is there for that. It doesn't always happen, but it is there.
Right.
And the ones that have a super mom, the one that acts like both mother and father and, keeps them out of trouble tends to do that and makes them go forward. But, you get the mom that maybe can't handle it or she does not equipped to handle both roles. That is a big problem. Yeah. So, all right. So continue on with after 14, you got into, we
didn't do much. We didn't do much cocaine. Cocaine back then for us it was really expensive because it really didn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Ma, could I have $20? That was my job. That was it.
Yeah.
Right. And at 14, we used to go to the festivals. We'd be able to get beers for free, joints for free.
Yeah.
We thought that was a big thing.
That is a big thing at 14.
At 14, yeah. But now today, kids at 14, they're drinking anyway. So,
yeah.
And that has a lot to do with, I think, a lot of peer pressure now in school, too. So, which we didn't have really back then. At least I didn't think so.
Yeah. I didn't really think so either. Maybe if someone asked you and you said no, they didn't bug you again.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the constant pressure that these kids face because now we have the invention of the internet. So obviously they can follow you 24/7. So
right.
And that's even more pressure, especially if they don't like you. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So when I really got addicted and what really hit me are the narcotics. I mean, the marijuana, it was really nothing. But to backtrack just a little bit, what I replaced, once I got off the drugs, what I replaced it with was food. So, and that's where I got to be 285 pounds, but that's another podcast.
Yeah.
But, okay. But as you get older, the core group of guys you hang out with, we just have a routine, didn't have jobs. So we just get up once in summer, go out, play sports, wait for the weekend, smoke some pot, have a couple of beers, go chase girls on Faneuil Hall, and stuff like that. It was a routine for quite a while. But then when we started getting into the heavy narcotics, like cocaine, which was all of us at one point. I mean, there were times we would go out. I think on Thursdays we won't get home till Sunday because we'd be at someone's house doing just cocaine all day.
My God. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you can see my nose. A lot goes up there. But it got to the point where in the beginning it was just fun, but then it became a job,
Yeah.
Excuse me.
To support that fund, you probably had to deal or something, right?
No, actually, I stole money from my grandmother at one point. 20 here, 40 there. Yeah. And she knew I was taking it, but I think that's why she left it anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know how grandmothers are. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
You know?
For the
she should have said,
part.
"What are you doing that for, you stupid bastard?" She didn't say that, but
yeah.
But I think a lot of times the people that don't understand from our old country, they don't understand what the problem is. So they just, it'll figure itself out type of thing. And that type of addiction does not figure itself out.
No, definitely not.
You have to stop it and you have to get help for it. So that's how you stop it. That's how you stop anything, really.
Yeah.
But to backtrack, I did drugs, cocaine for quite a while. Boy, I don't know. It seemed like it was almost every day, almost, it felt like. But it was mostly the weekends, I'll be honest with you, because then I started getting a job at, you're 18, you get a job, and you really can't do it as much because you can't be late for work. I guess I was a functioning addict, I guess you would call me. You know?
Right. Yep.
Where you can get and plus I wasn't paying rent. I wasn't paying for food. So basically I had my check every week and half of it would probably go, and I didn't have a car because I lived in the North End. I didn't need one.
Yep.
Right? All I do was take the bus or the train.
How could you fit one? Right?
You can't. You can't. Well, I wouldn't hate to go down the North End and drive. I can't stand going down to Boston, but
yeah.
It's too much now, but I'm glad I didn't have a car because I didn't have the money to buy one.
Right.
It was going up my nose, but
right.
But at that time, a lot of people were doing cocaine. It was like aspirin back then. I mean, everyone we knew was either dealing here or dealing there. If they were by themselves, oh, come on, Peter, take a walk. We'll go do some, they do some cocaine, hang out with them a little bit while they deal, that type of thing.
Right.
I didn't see any guns like they have now today, where all the dealers had guns. They didn't need it back then because everyone they dealt with, they knew since they were in, grade school. So they just give them money, they give them the drugs. But as the years went on and you get more addicted, you see people change. And I've gotten drugs off some friends, and they never came back to give me the drugs. They just took my money. And this is people I've known for 10, 15 years.
Wow.
But that's what addicts do. They don't care. That's the whole process. It's kind of like stripping you of your humanity in a way, if that makes any sense. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
You become a shell of who you used to be.
Yeah,
at one point.
When you get that deep, you're empty.
Yes, you're empty, and you're not full until you do the chase, until you get your stuff. But the chase is always longer than when you get your stuff, because you're constantly chasing. You don't stop.
Right.
Even when you're feeling good, you're like, oh yeah, I can go for another. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
3 days isn't enough. It's like, okay, let's go for a fourth day. But
that's where that addiction comes in. That's a chemical, becomes a chemical addiction. And it's tricking the brain thinking, hey, I need more.
Yeah, they see, to me, I'm little on that. I could see how it could be chemical, but I think also it just could be, I don't know how to say it. I just think if you can stop, you can stop. Do you know what I mean? I just think you need to go through a process, then you can stop. Does that make sense?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, addiction comes in many forms, and you can be addicted to anything in this world, anything.
Right.
And whether or not a person has the ability to stop could depend on their intestinal fortitude, their want or wanting to stop. Maybe they don't want to stop. Maybe it feels so good.
And that's where it comes down to what I'm saying. It's not just chemical. I think it's the want and the will to do so.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a little bit of both, but definitely, it's that you're in a place where you're not low enough that you're scraping the bottom going, what the hell am I in? You're cruising and you're getting by, right? You're skating by.
Right.
Well, hey, he stole my money this time. When I see him, I'll punch him in the face or whatever. But
that never happens because you know them for so many years. You just go out and you do more drugs with them, and they hook you again. You know what I mean?
God. Wow. Because
that's the process. Sometimes they give you drugs for free just to say, hey, try this out, and then boom,
Oh, yeah.
There were so many coke dealers there. The 80s were just crazy.
Yeah, I know they were.
Absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
I had a good time, but in a way it was a bad time. And at this time I had kids, which, didn't help because I was an absentee father. And that's why I have a little, I guess, regret for those decisions, because it really destroyed my family tree in a way. Because, my son didn't get addicted, but the two girls, they had drug issues.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you the family, how it a ripple effect.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though you don't think so at the time, it is.
Right.
So, but as you know, we go along, we keep doing it, and I don't know. I can't remember. I remember the day when I stopped, or when I realized it's going to sound weird. It was on a Sunday after a binge, and I heard the Old North Church bell ringing. I swear to God. And I was sitting there just crying, and nobody was paying attention to me. The whole family was there. Nobody was saying nothing to me. You think they say what's wrong? They said nothing. That's how hard I made them. From all the screw ups, all the addictions, they just didn't give a shit. Yeah, right there and then, you're in trouble.
They wrote you off.
You're in trouble. You see a grown man crying. Your kids are there. My mother's there. My uncle's there. They say nothing. They're going on with their day, like nothing happened. Right there and then, I said, "Wow, I'm in deep now. This is no good."
Yeah.
No good. If they don't care, then it's up to me to start caring.
Right.
And that's where I think a light went on, in a way. It's a struggle to get where I'm at right now. It took me, I don't know how many years, 20-something years to get where I'm at now.
Okay.
As far as that goes. Addiction goes, narcotics. But that day right there is, well, I think it changed a little bit. I realized, oh boy, it's up to me now. I can't rely on anybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when I think, as a human being, you dig your toes in the sand if you really want it or not. And I guess in the back of my mind, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, so I really wanted it. So it's a slow process, though. It's not like they see on television.
Right.
It's like, okay, this week I'm going to stop. You don't do it. Then the following week you meet someone, you do it. It's a series of roller coaster rides, and that's what really wears the addict down.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes coming out of it. Like, I should have got professional help right away. I didn't do that. What I did was I got on AOL. I went to these chat rooms and started talking to people. Not about addiction, just talking to people. I met someone, a nurse actually, that lived in Phoenix. And she told me to come down. So I did. I went down there for a week. And this is what changed a lot, because I realized there's just not the North End in this world. It's a bigger world. So when I got to Phoenix, I saw palm trees, sun. I guess I saw hope in a way. Do you know what I mean? I saw a new beginning. You know, yeah. It's like, wow, this is crazy. Look at this. Sun all the time. Shit, I got to move down here. And the nurse that I met was very nice. She helped me a lot. So I went back for my vacation.
So she helped you a lot in like what respect? Because it's like a gap there. So like on what premise did you go to some strange lady's house in Arizona? She just accepted you to go. Like she didn't know you didn't know her.
Right. But that's why I went down for those 2 weeks, was to meet her and get to know her. But that was AOL. That was like AOL dating. You know what I mean? Back then, it was like, oh yeah, come on down. Spend 2 weeks with me. That's okay. Back then, it wasn't like it is today, where people get murdered every now and then, every week or every day.
Yeah.
But her being a nurse, I think it's her natural instinct to help. I think that's what
it is there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was beneficial.
That's their
for me, right? And going there and seeing all that newness, it gave me a little hope that I can actually do something if I just change my scenery. And I think that's where it all started. So when I came back, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to Arizona. And thank God for my uncle and my mother, because I left my kids there because I knew I couldn't take them with me and get sober at the same time. You can't. It's impossible. You need to focus on you, and that's it.
Yeah, too much distraction.
Yeah. And I think that's a good word you just used. When I got there, I had to establish a lot of things. So that kept me busy, too. I had to get an apartment, a job, you know, all those things that were more important than doing just having playtime.
Right.
So I think in a sense of looking back, that distraction was a healthy one. And being with a woman that, you know, we're just focused on each other, and her helping me find a job, putting me up at her place and all that type of thing. That was immensely helpful. I think that really changed it for me as far as, and I think I wanted to see if I can live on my own, because I never really had that. I was always with my mother, always with my uncle's condo. You know, when I was married, I was in Charlestown. I was never by myself and see if I can make it on my own. And I think going to Arizona made me realize that I could. And so I got a new lease on life, so to speak. When I was down there, I got a job near the airport. I got a brand new 1998 Ford Escort, white. Back then, it was nice. And I was saying, wow, I'm doing it, you know? And it really did help me, because I didn't know anybody either that had drugs, which was a bonus.
Right.
Because if I don't know anybody, where am I going to go to get it?
Right. Yep.
And me being a street kid, I'm not going to go down some street knowing that there's drug dealers down there and I'm from out of town, that I'm not going to get robbed. So
Right.
having money at that point and finding an apartment and car and everything else was more important. I think that was a big one for me. That changed, I think, my life as far as that goes.
So your 2 week stint turned out to be longer then.
Well, yes. Well, I went there for 2 weeks, came back, and I think a month later, gave my 2 weeks, and then just said, I'm going down there.
Nice.
Because
did you stay in contact with her?
Yes. Oh, yes. When I got down there, she helped me, just put me up for a couple of days till I found an apartment and whatnot. She was very nice about it, all that other stuff. I helped her with her house that she bought, doing yard work, but I figure that's the least I can do is repair in some way,
Cook an Italian meal.
No, I couldn't cook for shit, but
what? You're Italian. You should know these things.
I was so focused on just trying to get myself and mental. It's a mental preparation too.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how much you hurt yourself when you're in that mode.
Right.
Because I didn't feel normal. I wasn't living on my own. I was dependent on my mother, my uncle.
Yep.
I think I was still a kid mentally in a way. You know what I mean? Not that I'm any more mature now, but but I have a good job. We have a nice place and we have nice cars. So, and I feel much better about myself. I think that's the key. Getting that new lease on life made me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
But, and that's where the journey ended with the narcotics. It just stopped because I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Association plays a big part, I think, in everything.
Now, you didn't do any of the heavier stuff, heroin or any of that?
No, I had a lot of my friends do it around me, though.
Oh,
and
boy.
I didn't get involved in it because I saw them and one night, a kid couldn't even put his jacket on. I think he took an hour and a half to put his jacket on.
God.
We had to meet someone in a half hour, so I'm like, dude, the kid's gone now. Forget it.
Oh,
but
boy.
yeah, it took him an hour and a half to put his jacket on. I knew right there and then I couldn't. There's no way I would be able to do that.
No. Well,
and my kids were visiting every night. I didn't have visitation. I had visitation, but the ex-wife had him.
Yeah.
But and that's where I think it got better for me when I left Massachusetts, got away from all the association. Even when I came back for a little bit, my old friends wanted me to start drinking again.
Yep.
So that same week, they asked me to come up to the house and they offered me beer. And I said, I don't drink anymore. They must have offered me beer about 10 to 15 times. And after the 15th time, I said, you know what? I got to go.
Yep.
And that's what gave me strength to say, you know what? Forget it. I got to depart with all these people. And I just stopped hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And
on that point, what just came to my mind was, at that point, it's a spiritual division, right? Mm-hmm. So you got your life together. You were back on track. I don't know if you had found God at that point, but those people were still stuck in the world of Satan and what he does and what he, entices people to do, drinking and drugging and putting pressure on people that is unnecessary,
right?
To do that, right? So he was trying to lure you back, but it didn't work. Thank God.
That's the way some people can look at it. At that time, I'll be honest with you.
Oh,
I didn't like God at all. I didn't like the world at all. All I was focused on was me.
Right.
That's it. I didn't care about God, didn't care about Satan, didn't care about the news, didn't care about sport. I didn't give a shit about none of that.
Yeah.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
All I had to do was every day I got up, focus on me. Okay, what are you going to do? You got to put your pants on. Okay, here we go. Put your pants on. You think I'm kidding?
Underwear first.
Underwear first. Sometimes they no underwear.
All right.
But the fact of the matter is that's how I approached it.
Yeah.
Like 10 seconds, I didn't take anything. I'm sober for 10 seconds. That's a victory.
Okay.
But that's how I did it. Somebody else could have just said, okay, this was a spiritual awakening, like you just said, and went that way.
Right.
And you know what? If that works with them, do it.
Yeah.
As long as it gets you off it, I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? That was it for me. And then I knew right there and then I was going to be okay. Deep down inside, you knew you were being okay, but you still had your doubts. but that's life, right?
Yeah.
But some of the big parts in my life was Phoenix, Arizona was definitely a big one. Changed everything.
Hmm.
Because, you know, you grow up in the North End. That's all you think is the North End. That's all is here.
Yeah, it's just a box that you
Yes.
stay.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't
No, I
get out
know.
of that box.
Yeah, when I went to school, we went to school there together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just kind of like this box, basically, and people were in it and they did their thing, and it was very routine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. It's just I didn't really hang down there at all. Used to go to school, go home.
Right. And we
That
didn't
was
question it. That's the whole thing. At that age, we don't question it as much.
right.
The kids today, they question everything, which is good and sometimes bad. But
Right.
at least they question. Back then, we didn't. We had authoritative figures. If you didn't piss off the nuns, you didn't piss off the priests back in that day, right?
Right.
You get a
Right.
backhand.
Right.
Today, they piss off everyone. They just shoot priests. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's a totally different world.
Yeah.
But I think if I got addicted today, I probably think it would. In a way, they have more options now to get off it. You know, I think they are,
Chemical
and that's
options.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to get into right now is that anybody out there listening, if you're addicted, don't be afraid to ask for help. Get professional help. I didn't do that. That's what prolonged my development into getting better.
Hmm.
Number two, stay away from bad association. The people are doing drugs, get away from them. Be by yourself. You're better off.
Right.
You know, that's how I played it.
Now, quick question. You had professional help at some point. Is that correct?
Actually, I did not.
You never.
I for all those years, I willed myself. That's why I stayed in Phoenix for 2 years. Because I know if I got there 2 years, I just focused on me. I won't have to. When I come back, I won't have to worry about it.
Right.
Because it made me mentally tougher being on your own.
So that was the question, like, doing it the slow Joe way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it made it more of a cement for you, a concrete anchor for you to not go back? Because you hear about these people, they go get professional help, and it's almost like they go through it too fast, and then they jump off the wagon and get high again.
Well, the reason why that happens is because they go back to their old neighborhood.
Well, here's a quick story. I know a friend of mine, he lost his son. He was addicted, went for professional help, was in the rehab for a month or whatever, how long they're in. And as soon as he came out, there was a guy waiting for him outside with drugs and offered him drugs. And he took him and he died.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
that's
not the only
many stories like that. There's many like that. Did he
so
know the guy, or was it just someone stranger that?
I think I had met him at least once. I know his father.
No, but did he know the guy when he came out of the place?
That I'm not sure of. I assumed because of the story that was told to me that he did not. It was just some drug dealer hanging around.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's on the drug dealer. He knew exactly where to hang out. He figured he probably peer pressured him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or just that offering. And yeah.
And
whatever.
the kid was probably not ready. He wasn't strong enough.
Well, that's the thing, that quick professional help, is it too quick, whereas you went through the roller coaster, you went up and down, and you solidified internally your thought process. Hey, I'm sick and tired. I hate going on the downswing. And then you just kind of kept going up at that point and just rising up above it. I mean, I don't know. It's just two different ways of looking at it. Maybe for you, that worked. And don't know.
And I agree. I think it depends on the person. That worked for me. Yeah. What works for me doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Because we're two different people. That's true. As far as professional help today, and you said it correctly, it is too quick because 30, 60 days, that's nothing.
No.
For them, that's an eternity for them that they didn't get high. So sometimes when they come out, they're going to want to get high right away.
Yep. So many people
because they're not ready.
Yep.
I see it all the time on that show we used to watch, Intervention. Oh, they do 60 days. They come out, and where do they go? Back to the same neighborhood, back to the same people, back to the same influences. Boom, done. And they just—it's The healthcare system in America is good, but it's got so many cracks when it
Maybe your
comes to that.
way is the better way. Maybe that should be integrated with some type of clinic where, you know,
Mm,
30, 60. Now, and I know some rehabs are out away from this area and people send their family out to Arizona or wherever for a rehab.
right.
But once again, you know, you established residency away from your neighborhood for at least
Right.
2 years. And that's
Right.
probably what
Mhm.
helped a lot. You know,
Right.
you,
I agree
yeah,
because you're so focused on planting roots again, and the optimism you get from just being in the sun and just being out and around, and you know nobody. It's like being a new person or a kid again.
right.
Everything's fresh and new.
That second chance.
Yes, and it was
So,
a second chance, and I knew it.
so my thought is maybe you've got the key. Maybe you've got
Hmm.
the key to a rehab being successful. That if you're from Massachusetts and you go out to Arizona to a rehab, let's just say, use that as an example,
Hmm.
they put you through the rigors for 60 days, 90 days, and then now they're forcing you to live out there, finding an apartment, get a
Right.
job, and
See,
maybe
unfortunately, though, I think the laws will not force them to do that.
no,
That's the bad part.
yeah, but you know, not forced, but maybe that's the program you signed up for and
Right.
not realizing, you know, I mean, or the family did it for them. But that might be the
Hmm.
key where they keep them out of their old neighborhood for a couple of years and they don't even realize they're still in rehab,
Right. You
technically.
mean assimilate them into something else?
Yeah, just to break that connection. Like
I
you
always said that association was the worst.
absolutely
Yeah. If you associate with the right people, if everybody has a cold that you hang out with, sooner or later you're gonna catch it.
cold. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's simplistic, but I think sometimes I think our healthcare system makes it too complex. Do
We
you know
know
what I'm
that
saying?
there's so many people addicted that they just probably can't handle the
No, they're
influx.
overwhelmed. They're
So they're
overwhelmed.
just in and out, in and out, in and out. Maybe
Hmm.
it'll work, maybe it won't.
Right. It's like the welfare system, same thing.
Yeah.
That's why kids end up getting killed or they disappear, they fall through the cracks. Social workers can't go to 200 houses. It's impossible. It's impossible. But that is my story as far as that goes. But like I said, there's a couple of things you can do. The professional help is one of them. The
Yep.
association. Don't be afraid to fail. You're gonna fail. You're gonna trip and fall because that's happened. It
Yeah.
always happens. Uh, you have to get up. You have to have the will to get up. That's the key, and that's where the support comes. You need a support system,
Right.
not just professional, but someone that can say it's okay. It's all right, man. That's life.
Next.
Let's go for a walk. That's
Yeah.
it. Stop being so hard on yourself. I'm still working on that today because I don't. I think that helped me stay sober by being hard on myself.
Right.
You know, when I was in Arizona, I didn't go out like say too late on Friday nights because you get that flashback. Oh no, I'm out again. It's not dark out. You know, weird stuff, weird
Yeah.
triggers. You
No.
know, or
No,
you
you
see a
know,
car that looks like a dealer's car, you're like, oh shit. You know, stuff like that.
I'm gonna tell you, Friday is still a trigger for me. Not that I used to go out and party, but
Hmm.
Friday was the conditioning for, hey, it's the weekend. Hey, let's go get pizza or Chinese food.
Hmm.
Let's watch a movie. Let's,
Hmm.
if Friday has always been that way, and it's still at 57, I still on a Friday like have that feeling like, hey, this is
Gotta go
what,
do something.
yeah. So I'm sure it's stronger for you because you had a stronger thing
I'll be
going on.
honest with you, it's not. It really isn't. Moving up here and meeting Nancy,
Yeah.
I think when I moved back because my mother got sick from Arizona, I was a little scared because 2 days after I moved there, my
Yeah.
friend Dominic, who I used to do drugs with, called me from downstairs. Peter, he's yelling out the window
Oh yeah. Like,
and I looked out the window. I says, "I don't get away, go away," and that was that. That was the last
yeah.
time I saw him.
Wow.
And
He was
and then I
still
met Nancy online, and I moved up here. It was so refreshing to be up here. It was more wide open. I didn't know anybody, didn't care to know anybody.
Right.
just focused on me again and her, and it was just Fridays. Nah, it doesn't affect me. Like I'm happy to come home now and just sit there and watch television.
Yeah.
That works for me. I don't care.
Well, we're at that age.
I
I
don't
hear
care. Well, I've
same
been
thing.
doing it for 20 something years up here, so
Yeah.
it works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what works for me. Would it work for like you or someone else? No, I don't know.
That works. That's what I do. I mean,
It
but
could
what?
be for you. You go to the range and just shoot. That was a way of release.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs a release in some way. Also, that's another tip. Get a release. Pick up a hobby. Sometimes I think I'm too busy putting too many things like, mixed martial arts, guitar, podcasts, work. I'd rather be overwhelmed, I think, than underwhelmed because that's when I think boredom creeps in. You might want to do something stupid. That's how we're programmed, I think.
But I think it's kind of how we're programmed, but I think you have to trust yourself at this point in your life where
Mm-hmm.
you're never going back to that. And if you back off on one or two hobbies, and boredom does creep in a little,
Mm-hmm.
so what?
Yeah. Well, I'm at that point where I think, obviously, I can handle it. I'm not concerned about, oh my God, here I'm going to do a line now if I get to Boston. No,
Right.
that's
No,
not the
you're
case.
done. That's all
Oh
done.
yeah, it's all
I
done.
know that. I know you, and I know that. So
It's all done.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it in my mind. Could I help other people? I have. I helped her son.
yeah,
But I could have handled it a little bit different too, because I was trying to push my way on him. You know what I mean?
right.
And he had to do it his way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that can happen to us because sometimes we're just so rigid and set in our way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's got a routine.
Well, that's how we learn. We learn to be flexible and find different ways of doing things. I know in the last few years, I've done that. Like I've always been rigid. No, we got to do it this way. And I still have a hint of that, but because I know it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to kind of sometimes take a step back,
Mhm.
look at the whole situation, look at that person, and then figure out for them what might work. And that actually flows. So,
And that's hard to do, though. That is so hard to do.
so is getting off of drugs. You can do
No,
it.
but I'm just saying when you're there and you're trying to impose something on someone else, it's so hard to do. And they're so close to getting there.
Yeah.
If they just
But-
do it the way I showed you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right. But I mean,
But that's
if you
not
see,
the way they need it.
but if you see that resistance from them,
Mm.
a different approach, a different attack from a different angle sometimes works. Like I said, if you step back and take a look.
Yeah.
But, that's all stuff we all work on as people and we
Mhm.
grow as people. And, hey, listen, man, you're helping people and seek out those people to help. That's
Right.
that's your calling, basically. God pulled you out of
Mhm.
where you were, whatever circumstances happened. My thought is God's always got a hand in things. That's why you
Mhm.
are where you are and should be happy for what he's helped you with and done for you in your life. And, that give back, we always want to give back a little. You helped Nancy's son. Hopefully he's out of any of that and he doesn't fall back into
From what
that.
I understand, yes, he is.
Okay. Your daughters, you mentioned your daughters have had problems with addiction. How are they doing?
That's a good question. They really don't talk to me as much because of my addiction and what it affected them while I was addicted because I wasn't there.
Mm,
Now, I know that sooner or later, they might come back. Kids are usually like boomerangs anyway.
yeah.
So I'm ready and prepared. That's all I can be.
Your thing is you just have to keep showing them who you are, the real Peter, not
Mhm.
the old Peter. That's
That's what my uncle used to always get in fights with me. He always thought it was the old Peter, always.
right.
And I don't blame him.
And you know what? You just hold your ground on the new Peter and just you show them and they'll eventually come around.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I pray that your daughters do come around and things
Well, I
work.
know one has stopped. I know that she's been 150 days sober, from what I understand.
Now see, that's where you call her. Fantastic job. I'm proud of you. That's
I
awesome.
did email her, but she told me not to bother with her anymore, and that's fine. I get it,
Okay.
but that's going to happen
Yeah, yeah.
sooner or later. We all get soft and we all come back. That's just the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I hope so. And
If
hopefully things
not, then that's life. That I can do about it.
yeah.
I did my part. She don't
You
want to
just
listen. That's fine.
right? You just be there. You're always there. We look at ourselves like a lighthouse. We're on an island, standing there
Hmm.
with a light going. And if they come back, great. You're still there. You're not going to
Right.
change.
If not, then it was just their path.
Yep. I
Because
mean,
I can't control them.
my oldest son, for some reason, in the last couple of years, has been angry towards me.
Is
And
that the one I just met when I was there or no?
no, his twin.
His twin?
Yeah.
How many? You have three kids?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We usually just talk about Eric and I forget his name. What was his name? James, was it?
Yep.
James?
Yep.
Okay. That's the one I met.
Yeah.
Eric is the one who
We're
got
going to
hurt.
interview him about Bigfoot.
Oh, he likes Bigfoot?
He does. So he's
Nothing
got a
wrong with
lot
that.
of-
I'm interested in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
I
yeah.
like it.
So you be there. You kind of just be that beacon, and like you said, they eventually come back, and hopefully, that prodigal son, that prodigal daughter
Right.
story always works. They always come back.
Well, sooner or later. I mean, I think for his process might be a little different.
Yeah,
It might take 20 years. Who knows?
maybe I'll still be here.
I think if you're consistent and you stay steady,
Yeah.
life gets better anyway. It's when you're up and down, that's when it sucks.
Right.
Like you said, we can be addicted to anything. Sex, football, grilling, anything.
Yep. Absolutely.
But I think this was a great conversation. Hopefully someone could reach out to me if they want at diamondlife66 at comcast.net if they have a story they want to tell or just want to reach out to me and see what they can do as far as addiction goes. Hopefully I can point them in the right way. And that's pretty much it. I think today's conversation was pretty good, and you had some pretty good questions. And hopefully this helps someone out there. And for those out there suffering, stay focused if you can. If not, get some help. That's the biggest thing you can do.
Yeah, that's everybody's objective is to
Right.
help others, and and hopefully someone does reach out to you. And
I hope so. I can help them. I know I can.
great interview. I love you for spilling your guts. I love you, man. We are soul
For
brothers.
being honest, you got to be honest.
That's it. And we always mesh. So I appreciate this interview, and we'll see everybody on the next one.
Okay, the two paisans signing off from Paul's Coffee Shop. Bada bing over here. Later.
You still here? Time for you to go.